This is Surrey County Cricket Club. Born in a tavern in 1845. The symbol of Kennington, we've seen London grow around us. Cricket's original champions, as Charles Alcock brought his vision to life and we cemented a reputation as a place of firsts. International football, This is Surrey County Cricket Club. Born in a tavern in 1845. The symbol of Kennington, we've seen London grow around us. Cricket's original champions, as Charles Alcock brought his vision to life and we cemented a reputation as a place of firsts. International football, FA Cup finals, international rugby, test matches, as well as where English pride came to die, before a great rivalry was born from its ashes. We share our feathers with royalty and pass on the honour of the brown cap through generations. We've seen England's best spend their careers with us.
Well, that's Jack Hobbs. Head and shoulders, yes, over all other living batsmen.
And the game's best finish under our gasometer. We've won 7 in a row thanks to Surridge, May, Barrington, Locke, Laker and the Bedser twins. In fact, we're well known for our famous siblings, but there's always been one family who've stood out. We saw the West Indies grip a nation on our doorstep, and a pioneer set records galore in the women's game. The end of the century brought a fresh take on Ik Dien, as Holyoake and his England teammates transformed us on the pitch. The changing of the oval skyline brought the greatest of finales.
There it is. England have regained the Ashes.
And an era of final test triumphs.
Alistair Cook has done it. A century in his last. Well played.
On our way to our own red ball century. We're one half of the game's oldest rivalry and its only London derby.
Oh my! Can you clear the pavilion?
Local players are always the lifeblood of our side. But the world's best are attracted to us too. We've come through tragedies. Now we're home to world champions and cricketers of the year. 175 years have passed. There's much more to come. This is Surrey County Cricket Club, heart of London, pride of the county, the grandest stage in world cricket.
Good morning and welcome to the Kia Oval for the 4th and final day of what's been a fascinating match between Surrey and Lancashire. The position is this: Surrey are 57 for 5 in their second innings, chasing 208. They need 151. Lancashire need 5 wickets. Cameron Ponsonby and myself will be taking you through the first session. But let's see how we got there, shall we, with the highlights of day 3.
Rein themselves in. Well, there is the first run. Edge through third slip. It was down. No chance of a catch. Well, there he goes. He's underway. Nice, crisp shot. That's a magnificent shot from Smith. Now, where's this going? It's a potential catch, and it's really well taken. Oh, that's glorious. On the up.
Not able to middle. And that is sumptuous again from Jacks. He has played the cover drive beautifully this morning. And that is something else from Curran. He's almost treated Williams like a spin bowler, and he's smashed him back over his head for 6. Unbelievable. Oh, and it's an edge! I think it might have hit the ground first before it hit Keaton Jennings' outstretched right hand, so the 50 comes up for Jacks. Punched in away into the covers, and that will be Sam Curran's 50. But he's halfway to making Andrew Sampson have to look up the biggest gap between back-to-back hundreds. Short and smashed away, but it's straight to the fielder. Oh, and it's catching practice. And that was poor from Clark. Oh, and that's bunted straight up in the air. And that will be another wicket. And Sam Curran, when you batted for several days for 26. Big LBW shout, and he's gone. Oh, and that's just hello. Abbott has just... now, for those of you with a sharp instinct for these things, you may have noticed that they were in fact the day 2 highlights. We had a small technical glitch with the computer system, which managed to go back in time, Doctor Who style, to day 2. But interestingly, what we were seeing there was Will Jacks and Sam Curran putting together a really good partnership, Cameron, and that is essentially what they're going to have to do on day 4 if Surrey are to go ahead and win this one.
I think that's pretty much the match. Surrey obviously do bat deep, but with Jordan Clark and Sean Abbott kind of going down at 9 and 10, but Jacks and Curran are those kind of 2 last kind of really recognised batters, potentially doing a disservice to Sean Abbott there, who's
was the top scorer.
He was the top scorer in the previous innings, and he's averaging, in recent years, I think in Sheffield Shield, he's averaging around 30 or that mark. He's a genuine all-rounder. But the game at the moment will be in what is perfect bowling conditions. Can Tom Laws stick around and be a nuisance as the night watchman, and will Jacks be able to kind of put his foot down? And I'm really intrigued to see how they go about chasing this, because if this was the first innings, I've no doubt that Surrey would kind of crank through the gears and put the attack back on Lancashire, but given fourth innings run chase pressure, that's always easier said than done. And
just to let you know, we do have a grey overcast day here at the Oval, which usually helps the ball swing a little, which could certainly help the likes of Tom Bailey, who last night in an 11 over spell, which I couldn't believe how he kept going, took 4 for 34 and was a real handful, and Surrey will be fully aware that this morning, if he's recovered from that 11 over spell, he's going to be a real handful.
I reckon he'll be straight in for another 11 overs. Funnily enough, completely different times of day, but the conditions are very similar to last night. Last night it got very gloomy when he was in the midst of that kind of heroic spell, and this morning you can just see the shadows on the ground from the floodlights. It is quite dark. The weather forecast says there's a 0% chance of rain. My eyes tell me otherwise.
Yes.
But who am I to doubt the BBC weather app website?
Yes, quite right. We will check the raintoday.co.uk, which is quite good. It actually shows you a satellite.
Okay.
So we'll be checking that one as well. But at the moment, the weather from the west, which is the way that the wind is blowing, and there isn't much of that this morning, would seem to suggest we could be all right. And it really is it's been a really good match from start to finish this. We saw Lancashire's first innings, where every batter pretty much made a start, but we only had one half century, Phil Salt. We then saw Surrey somehow establish a big first innings lead thanks to a 10th wicket partnership of 130. We then saw yet another tail ender yesterday with Will Williams scoring his maiden half century after being the night watchman and top scoring for Lancashire in their second innings. So we've had a bit of everything.
It's been a match that Lancashire found themselves behind in yesterday, halfway through when kind of Williams was on his epic, and it didn't really quite make sense because it felt like they'd been on top, given that they should have had, by all logical convention, a first innings lead. However, Tom Bailey, the man on screen now, has kind of ripped that momentum back, and Lancashire must be considering themselves favourites going into day 4 here.
But as we've seen in the match so far, early wickets have fallen for all the teams. That Kookaburra ball does a bit for the first 20-25 overs, sure, but then can die, and suddenly batting is easier. We still have a lawnmower on the wicket, which is slightly peculiar given that we're due to start now, but the groundsman seems to be perfectly happy continuing his mowing.
Well, what you can't quite tell from that angle on screen is that he's walking away from where the
lawnmowers live.
Is.
Exactly.
So he finished one end and then he turned around. I believe it was the kind of perfectionist within the Surrey ground staff that existed, that he couldn't possibly have walked off having not finished.
No, that is
wicket.
true. It must be the next wicket that's in use and had to be mown today. And my watch says, well, 11 o'clock now, but it's just clicked over from 10:59. So
I did enjoy the standing umpire's bemused wander over to him, saying, "What?
Sorry, hang on." Yeah, pointing at his watch. Well, Bailey is straight back in action, and he starts with a slightly loose, short delivery that is helped round the corner for a single by Jacks, who moves on to 20. And it'd be interesting to see if Laws can take a leaf out of Will Williams' book and come in at night watchman and make a real difference for his side. And he's got the skill to do it.
I absolutely believe he'll be seeing this as a real opportunity to kind of prove his own batting credentials. He's definitely not a tail ender, and he's wanting to prove that point to the Surrey coaches.
He plays a very nice looking forward defensive to that. Yeah, he's got an average of 17 in first class cricket coming into this match, and this season probably hasn't had the opportunities with the bat that he might have liked, because Surrey have played so well, and if you're lower down the order you don't get the opportunities to quite the degree.
No, he's in the One Day Cup last year he was batting much higher, in kind of 4 and 5 with some half centuries, so more than capable with the bat is Laws.
He certainly looks that way with defensive shots like that up on his toes. Still getting some decent bounce, Tom Bailey. He really did put the pressure on last night. He was finding because we'd barely seen any slip catches in the match, and suddenly he was finding edges and they were carrying to the cordon. And all I will say is the analyst who correctly told us yesterday that this match would go into a 4th day, when we wondered whether Lancashire would be able to actually make a match of it, they obviously then did, also believes that Surrey could be considered favourites.
Goodness me.
Which is interesting. But
is this a mysterious analyst?
I will keep him a mysterious, anonymous analyst.
Quite right. Lancashire have started this morning with exceptionally straight fields. We're just seeing that fielder at square leg drop out for the last ball of the over. I think as much a sign of they're more than happy for Laws to pinch one at the end of the over rather than risk the boundary. It's almost a bit of a one-day match this now. Lancashire have to balance attack with the need to get all 10 wickets with boundaries absolutely kill you when there's only 150 runs left to go. So we will see Lancashire spreading the fields on occasion throughout this chase.
And that is flicked away, actually, between the man that was put out there to keep them down to a single and fine leg, and goes for 4. Lovely shot from Laws. His first boundary, straying just onto leg stump on this occasion, Tom Bailey. And a decent start as far as Surrey are concerned. 5 runs from the first over. And remember, they are looking to chase down 208 for victory.
No, kind of case in point there with Laws' boundary. The idea was there that Lancashire trying to bowl very straight, so they know that's where their bowlers may are a bit too leg side. They could be at risk of getting clipped, and so that is why the fielder dropped out. Unfortunately for Lancashire, Laws found the gap.
Yep, lovely shot. Now, Will Jacks batted really well in the first innings, though there is the short mid-wicket in that did for him in the in that first innings. But this is a lovely defensive shot up to mid-off. Does play classically well, Will Jacks.
He absolutely does. He combines kind of brute and beauty, as it were.
Yes.
Kind of, he almost was tantalisingly close to getting 6 sixes in the T20 match here against Middlesex, and he got a filthy full toss for the 6th ball and managed to hack it just away for 1. He threw his head back in agony.
He'll never get another chance like that. That was poor old Luke Holman, wasn't it, who was bowling? You know.
It was indeed, and to that point I remember seeing a few people going, "God, he'll never get a chance to hit 6 sixes again." And someone actually points out that actually Will Jacks is one of the few people who've actually already done it. He did it in a pre-season. It wasn't an official match. He did it in a pre-season friendly, a T10 I think it was, against Lancashire actually, and he scored a 25-ball century, I think, on a bit of a postage stamp ground out in Abu Dhabi, and no, it was a hell of an innings.
Oh, and there's a big shout for LBW, but it's not given. See what so interested the Lancashire bowlers, but did not interest
On the knee roll.
Knee roll, yeah.
Potentially a bit
Height?
of bat, but from side on, I wouldn't say height was particularly an issue. And
No.
Will Williams here bowling. He's got a bowling average of 19 for Lancashire since he joined.
There is plenty of time. There is no need for Surrey to crash the ball to all corners. And the other thing, talking with everybody this morning before we went on air, was the first 10 overs are crucial. So I think there will be a feeling for both Jacks and Laws that if they can get through most of that, then there's a platform from which to go on.
Well, kind of time is money, time is runs for Surrey in this context. If they don't lose a wicket for half an hour, not only have they taken the sting out of Lancashire's attack, they've obviously will have added a couple of dozen runs to the total. And so I do think there'll be an element of just stopping any momentum building from Lancashire's point of view, because they of course they're only ever 2 balls away from the match basically being won.
Well, we can see that Will Jacks is certainly happy just to set himself again this morning. He's not looking to immediately attack the Lancashire bowlers. He plays out a maiden, and a decent over it was too from Williams. Had that LBW shout and kept Will Jacks, one of the world's more exciting batsmen, pretty quiet. So good work from him.
I think Bailey and Williams will be settling in for 2 fairly substantial spells.
Yes.
Unless they turn to Blatherwick, who bowled beautifully at the end of day 3 yesterday.
Yes, Blatherwick bowled particularly well to Rory Burns, the left-hander. He got the lovely shape away from him, so I think they'll have Sam Curran in their sights for that particular bowler should a wicket fall.
I'll be very interested to see if he manages to extract the same amount of kind of seam movement that he did against Rory Burns. He's getting the ball to kind of jag quite viciously across him, and whether once the ball's got that little bit softer, whether he'll pose the same threat.
Oh, and there's an edge. Has he gone? He has. And it's a 5 for Bailey. Laws has gone for 10. It's another edge that's gone through to the cordon. Bailey has kept putting the ball in exactly the right place, and that is too good for Laws. He'd begun in nice style this morning too.
He had indeed. But he walked off there with his back kind of gripped behind his backside, as we just see the replay there.
Had to play it really,
He's had to play. The ball's just drifted in and then held its line off the seam. I think it's a fantastic piece of bowling from Tom Bailey.
Yeah, it's in the corridor, isn't it? And better batters than Laws would have been undone by that particular delivery.
Absolutely. Nevertheless, as Laws walked off, he looked to be a man in genuine despair and agony.
Yeah.
Would have had high hopes for what could have been a heroic innings today. But alas, he is gone for 10 runs.
Well, here comes the crucial partnership. It's Jackson Curran. Yes, we know that there's batting all the way down, and Surrey won't be panicking at all yet, and neither should they. They've got just ridiculously talented batting lineup all the way down to 11. So, but you do feel these are the last two fully recognised batters.
Absolutely, and Sam Curran's kind of turned himself into that when he was on his way through the ranks here. The party line was that he was actually a batter who bowled, and they kind of could see him becoming this fantastic player as he kind of got into his later years, aka the mid-20s. And in his last first-class game, which was exactly a year ago, he finally got his maiden professional century, and he had something absurd like 35 50s.
Yeah,
so
he had 22
in the first-class cricket, and then he had however many more.
Oh yes, in other forms, of course.
And he'd never got over, and he had this wonderful celebration. I can't remember who the bowler was. I want to say George Linder, but I could be completely incorrect. And he hit him for 6 into the pavilion, and he was gone. It's like he'd scored a 90th minute winner. It was a fantastic sight. But no, Sam Curran will absolutely consider himself as proficient with the batters. Many other people consider him with the ball. And so this will be the key pair for Lancashire.
Immediately round the wicket for Bailey. And that's nicely pushed away by Sam Curran. Immediately off the middle of the bat. There'll just be a couple. But a very comfortable start as far as he's concerned.
Batting's easy, isn't it? What's the problem?
Yeah, absolutely. Just had a little width there as Bailey recalibrates the navigation for the left-hander. There's a first slip and a third or fourth slip, so there is a bit of a gap in the cordon. Sam Curran immediately seems to be seeing the ball pretty well. He played that late and perfectly comfortably.
He's going to give, in just 2 deliveries, he's given a fantastic kind of illusion of time. That first ball that he's punched through the covers, he made it seem, at least, whether it was much slower than what Bailey's been sending down so far. And now he's defended the ball into the ground very late and perfectly well.
Punched away again this time, but straight to the fielder.
I think it's the first time we've really seen any player be playing Bailey off the back foot. I don't recall seeing that yesterday evening. I don't know whether that is a result of Bailey having just dropped his length in his first 3 deliveries to Curran, or whether Curran plays a good length to Curran is a slightly different thing in his own mind. He's playing on a different kind of wicket to the rest of us.
Lovely shot. There was some width, and that has been absolutely creamed through the covers for 4. And an over that started so brightly for Tom Bailey with his 5th wicket. The 14th time he's recorded a 5 in first-class cricket. Suddenly Sam Curran walked in, looked immensely comfortable, as indeed did Rory Burns against Bailey last night.
Oh, true. No, maybe it's the curse of the left-handers for Bailey. But I was just thinking, I just had a look at that same stat myself. It was his 14th 5-wicket haul in 90 matches, and that's a fantastic strike rate, as it were, for a fight to claim a 5-wicket haul once every 6 first-class games.
You do go through his numbers. It's absolutely right. 330 wickets at 23.5, and he's never really truly been mentioned for England, if you like. And it is Williams who, his first over was very tidy indeed to Will Jacks, who is continuing to put the ball on the money, but Jacks continues to defend.
I imagine there'll be a kind of an army of medium fast right arm seam bowlers who've played professional cricket over the last 15 years in England who'll look at Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad and think, you've nabbed 10 test catches.
Yes.
I didn't realise there were going to be 2 of our best ever playing at the same time for 2 decades apiece.
Oh, he's bowled him. I think he left it and it jagged back. Want to see this again.
What a fantastic delivery from Will Williams. I can only assume it's jagged back because Will Jacks was in such fine touch and defending the ball when it was close to him, just perfectly under his eyes.
Did he get the inside edge? Let's see. No, it jags back and he left it. Came back a mile.
It really has, and you'll see that if we see another replay. Jacks shuffles across his stumps here as well, so his eye will have been right over off stump. As you see, triggers across the off stump, and it's still with that ball outside his right eye, he leaves the ball, but both with the angle and then off the pitch as well. Will Williams clean bowls Will Jacks.
Well, that was an 80-mile-an-hour off break, wasn't it? Absolutely superb delivery.
Well, you said only moments ago that Surrey wouldn't be panicking. If I was Surrey, I'm panicking.
Well, now an awful lot rests on Sam Curran's head. Jacks can't. You can see Jacks can't believe what's happened. Just can't believe that ball has come back. Looks at the pitch as if it's entirely to blame, but
I may be wrong in my observations here, but I felt like when Jacks was using his crease and kind of using his feet, either yesterday or I don't know, I hadn't quite noticed him doing it so far today. He'd been walking kind of down the wicket. I hadn't quite seen him walk across, and whether that kind of changed his alignment a little bit. All in all, a fantastic delivery from Williams, and a real shame because Jacks had been looking so much like Rory Burns yesterday. Two batters, both with 20 to their name, both getting absolute beauties from this Lancashire's all-seam right arm fast medium cavalry is the word I went for in the end.
I do think the overhead conditions are helping a tad, but Jordan Clark comes out to join Sam Curran, the first of the batting bowlers, if you like. Oh, and they go for a very quick single immediately to try and get off the mark, and it's well judged. Draws the error from the fielder, and Jordan Clark's decided we need to get there quicker.
So it was an excellent Usain Bolt impression, because I, for all accounts, I thought there wasn't a run there, and Clark made it home very comfortably.
Yeah. Push and go.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a bit of an upping in tempo here from Surrey after 2 fantastic deliveries. There might be an element of if we prod around and try and get this at 3s, there's going to be 3 good deliveries in there, and with 2 batters who can be as aggressive and positive as Clark and Curran, I think. Arriving this morning, there was a feeling the latest this match could go to was about 10 overs after the lunch break. I think that's kind of come forward into this session where I can see if Surrey make it home, I can see them doing it
briskly,
at a fairly steady rate.
And that is a thickish outside edge from Sam Curran. He's going to get at least 2. It's well fielded in the end on the boundary. And I guess the other reason for this keeping the singles going as well is you've got a left and a right hander, try and disrupt the bowler's rhythm a bit.
Absolutely, and another advantage there is one short side to the ground here, and although there's not going, I'd be surprised if Lancashire's left arm spinner Jack Morley gets a bowl this morning.
Yes.
But so you aren't able to take advantage of it as much, but to have that short boundary in play at all times is a bonus.
And you're absolutely right that Sam Curran is not going to be hanging around. He played that a little bit on the up, but he placed it perfectly for 4 through extra cover. We'll just watch that again, and it was aerial for a little bit. Played it on the up, an extra cover. Thought he might be in with a chance, but it was placed to perfection by Sam Curran.
I think we're in for a very fun passage of play ahead.
Yeah, I think you're right. Williams, who hadn't conceded a run, has now seen 7 come off the last 3 deliveries. Oh, and he's got him! He has got him! And Curran goes, and Williams is on fire after his slow batting yesterday. His marathon 220 ball, 61 not out. He's now racing along with the ball. 2 wickets in an over. 2 for 17 now for him. And 2 big wickets in this over. Oh, he's bowled him again.
He's managed to get that ball to move that same way off the pitch, only this way. This time it's away to the left-handed Curran. Again, it's a fantastic piece of bowling.
This, I think he's moving the ball both ways, because this one comes into the left-hander and does for Curran. So that was the fast leg break. We've had the fast off break, and now we've got the fast leg break. This is brilliant bowling. Not what Surrey wanted to see at all this morning, though.
Well, Sam Curran goes for 12 off 7 deliveries. I must admit, with nothing but a kind of fan's eye view on it, I'm a little bit disappointed with that, because I thought Sam Curran was going to be providing us with great entertainment. Instead, it was Will Williams who provided the show with another fantastic bit of bowling. 2 beauties within that over. As you said, that first delivery to Will Jacks kept on going with the angle as Williams pushed the ball into him. Then Curran there, like you said, the ball was angled into him and it's almost leapt away.
Brilliant piece of bowling. It's to get the ball to jag around both ways is an art. Well, at least the first innings top scorer has now arrived. 75 for 8.
Well, Surrey puts on 130 for the 10th wicket in the first innings. There's 133 required, and they've got 2 wickets in hand. So what's the problem?
No problem. Dan Worrell will be looking forward to it. If he can get to 52 this time, he'll get his... Yes, there's still 133 runs required. And that's down the leg side, but Clark doesn't get anything on it.
This will be Lancashire. Have got a fantastic recent record against Surrey in the county championship. They drew the opening fixture of this season, and then last year, I believe, Surrey's final match of the season, having already won the league. And I suspect may have not been at quite full tilt.
A little bit of celebration may have occurred.
But nevertheless, if Lancashire wrap this up, it'll be 2 wins out of 3 against Surrey.
Oh, and there is, I think, swing and a miss is the polite way of describing that. The kitchen sink and most of the other implements in said kitchen were thrown at that.
We really do have all these players that we...
If that had hit, I think it would have gone in the Thames.
I hope he does. But again, I think we've got nothing but entertaining batters on show today. Just being faced with some fantastic bowling from Lancashire.
It's a good leave. Is a good leave. Just angled in from wide of the crease on that occasion from Bailey. Despite other cricket occurring in London, we've got a decent crowd in so far for the end of this game. It's played up to mid-on. There won't be a run. And this has probably been Bailey's tidiest over, funnily enough, so far this morning. Yes, he's taken big wicket to grab his 5th when he removed Tom Laws. Then Will Williams with getting the 2 massive wickets. Will Jacks and Tom Curran in the last over.
It's been a lightning fast start from Lancashire. 3 wickets in the first. Well, we've had 5 overs. And any thoughts that this match could still make its way to lunch, but Lancashire on the brink here, given the quality of deliveries they've been sending down. I don't really know how much Surrey could have done differently.
I agree, but it's usually when you see a really good team like Surrey 75 for 8, you think that the wicket is doing loads. Sure. There must be something occurring. But to be honest, the wicket's playing pretty much as it has done throughout. There is a bit of lateral movement, but that's more to do with the bowlers than the wicket. And it's not hooping around. There's no up and down bounce. This is just very good bowling.
Absolutely. There's just been seam movement. I don't think I've seen a Lancashire bowler really try to swing the ball. They've just been getting that just enough seam movement to take the edge of the Surrey batters.
And Sean Abbott decides to just see his way into this one.
Now, when you go through the card, all 8 wickets are wickets of straight deliveries in effect. So we've had bowls and LBWs, but also those that have been caught have all been caught behind the wickets.
Yep.
There's not been any unconventional dismissals.
And that squirts off a thick outside edge. Certainly interested the bowler for a minute or two. But well played by Sean Abbott. There's 87 not out in the first innings. And played beautifully. He saw himself in and then just began to enjoy himself. Oh, and he's gone. There's an edge. Again, he gets that lateral movement. Williams. Ball just moving away from Abbott. And it's snaffled by Sultan, the wicket keeper. And it is 75 for 9. And Williams has 3 wickets in 8 balls.
What a remarkable passage of cricket. We've had 4 wickets this morning. It's not even 11:30. Just see here again.
Oh.
Will Williams, the ball just straightens off. Sean Abbott looks down at his opponent and gives a nod of approval.
Yeah, he'd have been pleased with that one, wouldn't he? And he's just getting the movement in. Well, this has been a terrific, explosive period of play from Lancashire. Dan Worrell, cometh the hour.
See the replay here. We might just get a little nod from Sean Abbott, unless I'm imagining it. Looks back down the wicket. Yeah, well bowled, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was too. Well, Dan Worrell eventually makes his way out to the square. Presumably, he probably wasn't quite ready to buckle up and put on his whites first thing this morning.
I'm just comparing kind of Will Williams' spell this morning with Will Williams' innings yesterday, and the kind of the suggestion of how he kind of dead batted his way to 16. There was that idea that it was very hard to remove and batters and get enough movement out of the wickets to take wickets, and Williams have kind of laughed in the face of that notion and has brought this match to, well, almost its conclusion, unless we're about to see something quite remarkable from Dan Worrell. I think Will Williams might fancy a fourfer.
Well, there's still only 2 slips. Well, it comes off the middle of the bat up to mid-on. What's the... still 133 required, so 132 runs behind. Well, you were saying they need 2 10th wicket partnerships of 130 odd. That is essentially well defended.
We've lost 4 for 18 this morning. Has been the spell, and 12 of those runs were Curran's in his kind of brief foray at the crease.
It's off the 7 balls he faced. Yes, apart from that, Rory Burns looking very comfortable at the top of the innings, and Jackson Laws had a period last night too when they looked comfortable. It really has been express from...
I do think that Jack's wicket was the key for me. He was looking in fantastic touch, and also when someone in that touch gets removed in that way, it's also a kind of signal for the rest of the batting team of just how difficult or just how well the opposition has been bowling.
Right, Cameron Ponsonby is going to have a bit of a lie down after that rather explosive first half an hour. Taha Hashim, I'm delighted to say, is joining me for however long this is now going to go on. Taha, we watched, we covered quite a lot of the last 130 10th wicket partnership together, and Surrey could do with another one, so maybe you'll bring them luck.
Very much so. This is astonishing. You know, this is an unusual sight, having seen Surrey's dominance here this year, their dominance here last season. Yeah, they're going to need a miracle from here.
Tom Bailey to continue. Swung away. It'll only be a single though. I have to say, Jordan Clark is tearing down the wicket. He was half thinking there might be 2, but certainly Dan Worrell was not of the same opinion.
See Tom Bailey here with 5 for, but Will Williams has been the star today, but also that innings yesterday.
I know.
I mean, how crucial was that?
Absolutely. He just frustrated Surrey for so long and allowed other players to chip away at the Surrey lead and finally just get that crucial 200 lead. But I don't think any of us thought that was going to be enough.
I said the other key thing with that innings was the time he batted, and in terms of extending the game and getting Lancashire to have the new ball under lights.
Yes. Nicely played by Worrell, but you're right. If they'd been bowling last night, it would have been, well, actually that's not quite true.
I mean, if they'd started bowling in
mid-afternoon,
yeah, you know, they wouldn't have had that effect. You know, they've almost exclusively bowled under lights, under dark conditions, and it's been tough for Surrey, having seen so much sunshine in those first couple of days.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had 2.5 days of blazing sunshine, and that is just on his toes, trying to play it on the offside. It ends up on the onside, but perfectly safely. Also, I wonder how long Tom Bailey can keep going, because he bowled 11 overs off the reel last night. He's bowling his 4th this morning. Well, I guess there's only one more wicket to fall, they will say, so keep going, Tom. Oof. And that would have probably been that.
a great pick up and throw.
It was brilliant, wasn't it? You can't quite believe he's missed it.
It's an awkward one because he's having to turn quite a bit there to get the throw away.
And Worrell never really ran, did he? And suddenly he saw that the fielder had got the ball in, and goodness, it would have been tight. Oh! Not sure the ramp shot's entirely the one to be going for. Yes, that cut shot when it's a little too close to you is done for a few players.
Yeah, but it's a tricky one for Jordan Clark. I mean, how does he play this?
Yeah, you can see he naturally wants to attack, and that they need runs quite, and they need to rest back at any initiative, don't they? Sharp.
Yeah, the short ball just before that died quite a bit, but then that one, very decent carry.
Yeah, and a good way to stop Clark nicking the... Oh, and we've just got news at the moment that some protesters from Just Stop Oil have disrupted the Ashes Test match, and Johnny Bairstow has been escorting them off the wicket. I have to admit, with the muscles Johnny Bairstow's developed over the last few years, I think I'd go quietly if Johnny Bairstow was escorting me off the pitch. But driven nicely on the up. That's a good shot by Worrell. But they, having seen how well Lancashire fielded last time, there may have been two there, but they decided that wasn't worth the risk, and I think quite rightly.
Oh, that's far too good a shot to only give you one. That's been the highlight so far in the morning of the Test match.
Yes, it's been slow going. Australia are 13 without loss, batting first. Oh, and that's... Well, no, there was enough bat on it.
Sharp movement in from Will Williams. He's been terrific this morning.
Yes, he really has. He got 3 wickets in the first innings, but he didn't look quite as explosive as he has in this second one. And that's nicely played by batter. Clark up to mid-off, and they go through for a very easy single. 6 wickets in the match for him, Williams. Nicely played by Worrell.
It's obviously not over, but Surrey must be just looking back now at this match, looking at the moments where things could have gone differently, and I guess the key one is just yesterday and the stand and the resistance that Williams put up.
Yep, no, absolutely. Oh, and that's lashed away through the covers by Worrell, who isn't even bothering to run. Clark came down to ask him politely if he'd like to, and he said, no, I'm fine, I think we'll go for 4. And he was absolutely right. Decent shot. And also the other moment was Phil Salt being dropped on 1, which Surrey may well look back on as a rather crucial moment, because he and Williams then batted very well together and put together the partnership that effectively meant they'd have a decent-ish second innings lead.
You've also got to applaud the way Lancashire fought back in this match. I mean, it must have been so demoralising, that 130-run 10-wicket stand, when it looked like they were going to claim a pretty handy lead.
Yeah, and then they lost wickets early as well in their second innings. Yeah, they were 112 for 4 and 84 for 3 and still 2 runs behind at that stage. Jordan Clark, his high score this season was against Lancashire, so it was only 27 not out. He may need to reverse those 2 numbers this time if he's to see the side home. Nicely played. The grey cloud cover doesn't look as if it's going anywhere at the moment, does it? I was expecting it to lighten up slightly according to the weather forecast, but full. Clark is up to the job. He digs it out up to mid-on.
Absolutely clear with the field that they've got right now, that happy to let Clark have a single and have a proper go at Worrell, despite Worrell being the man in form with the bat.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Okay. Clark is getting a tad frustrated. That probably wasn't just short of a length, and angling it in at him, it would have been, if he had managed to play the shot he was attempting from that delivery, it would have been remarkable. But this is clever bowling at the moment by Lancashire. It's just saying hit me if you can. That squirts into the leg side safely, and they do take that single, but I think there's only 1 ball left, isn't there, of the over? What do you do here if you're Lancashire? Do you just assume that the wicket is going to fall? Do you try and make it happen?
I think the key thing is they just stay patient, do exactly what they've been doing all morning. It's worked out pretty well.
Yep. These two, funnily enough, have looked as comfortable as anybody so far this morning.
And they have, but you know, Lancashire aren't giving them any easy runs.
Exactly.
There haven't been any boundaries flowing in the last couple of overs. They've just got to hang in there and trust that everything they've done in the 33 overs so far is going to pay off in getting rid of this last wicket. But maybe, just in their mind, it's playing a bit that we had them 9 down in that first innings too, and suddenly everything went awry.
Yes, Tom Bailey's bowled 16 of those 33 overs. They should give him a double seat on the bus home. And that's very comfortably played by Clark up to mid-on. Playing against his former club, of course. Got 200s in first-class cricket in 1650s, so he's handy man to come in at number 9.
He has been slightly agitating in the last couple of overs, Jordan Clark. Not trying to get that ball away. Little inside edge there.
Yeah, you just feel his frustration. He wants to cut loose a bit.
Yeah, it's tough out there because that ball is still moving about a bit.
Oh, and that is up in the air and should be a very, very easy catch. It is. Jordan Clark is the last man out. It's a 4th wicket this morning for Will Williams. He'll finish with figures of 4 for 23 to go with his 3 in the first innings. There was also time as well today for a 5th wicket for Tom Bailey. And in the end, this has turned out to be, well, a pretty comfortable victory as far as Lancashire are concerned. 123 runs, the margin of victory as far as Lancashire are concerned.
An incredible performance from Lancashire these last couple of days. Surrey, the champions, finally defeated this season, and Williams, rightfully Williams, the man to take the wicket. He's been brilliant with the ball this morning, but if we're going to look back at the crucial moment in this game, it's got to be his innings yesterday as a night watchman. Lancashire began day 3 basically down and out. They were 27 for 4 effectively, but Williams hung in there. He battled for more than 200 balls, half century that gave Lancashire just enough to bowl at, and they've had the lights on, the cloud cover, and Tom Bailey there walking off.
Yeah.
And he'll have Williams alongside him, because those two have been magnificent.
They really have. And then Tom Bailey's 25 ball 25, which at the time I thought he'd rather thrown his wicket away, but that's looking important. Just getting the lead over 200 and just putting a bit of pressure back on Surrey. But Surrey, the team who chased down 501 to win their last match, all out for 84, chasing 208 this time. You've got to love cricket.
Yeah, and you'll look at the score now and see 123 win for Lancashire when it's been neck and neck for most of this match, really. I mean, Surrey, we thought they were struggling in their first innings, but the thing that Surrey do is they always bounce back.
Yes.
And that 130 run stand between Sean Abbott and Dan Worrell, it looked like that was going to be the match defining stand.
And then Worrell bowled beautifully in the second innings as well, and Lancashire, yes, they got in the lead and they did brilliantly, and you're right to say Will Williams, but Surrey bowled well and kept them to that, and you'd have thought, oh, day and a half to chase 208. The wicket didn't seem to be doing a lot. I think the other thing that you mentioned, though, Taha, is the conditions. They also favoured Lancashire. They bowled in the most bowler-friendly conditions. Surrey, they'll take quite a bit from this match. There have been some big pluses as well as far as they're concerned. Sean Abbott's innings was really good. There's been some decent bowling as well. Yes, it's a defeat, but they'll still be top of the table, and will go again.
I mean, they still remain a fine side. We've still seen in this match the depth to their batting lineup, the depth to their bowling attack, which 5 quicks that they can call upon.
Yeah, and Sean Abbott, you have to feel for a bit being on the losing side in this match. An 87 not out, who's 4 for 71 he took in the first Lancashire innings. And then we saw the way the attack hunted as a pack, all taking wickets, all keeping the pressure on. But yeah, Will Williams' obdurate innings, 220 balls, 61, probably quite rightly, as Tahara suggested, the difference between the teams. Right, well, that's pretty much it now. We will leave that with Lancashire winning by 123 runs here at the Kia Oval. Surrey, a lot to take from this match, but not, sadly, any points for a victory. All out for 84 losing their final 5 wickets pretty briskly this morning. 4 of them to that man, Williams. Taha Hashim, Yasrana, Felix White. We've also had Cameron Ponsonby all helping out as well, so thanks to all of them. And we'll be back for the next one.